I didn't argue when she said it. That's what people remember later. That I didn't fight hard enough, didn't raise my voice, didn't defend myself like someone innocent should. But the truth is, it didn't feel like an argument. It felt like a conclusion I had somehow missed the meeting for. It started the morning after the wedding. My sister said money was missing, cash gifts, envelopes. She didn't accuse me directly at first. She said things like only a few people had access, and then looked at me in a way that made the rest unnecessary. By evening, it wasn't indirect anymore. You were near the room, she said flatly, not angry, certain. I remember noticing how calm she was. That was the part that made it spread so quickly. If she had been emotional, someone might have questioned it. But she spoke like she already knew. I tried to explain. I told them I had gone into the room briefly. Yes, but only to leave my phone on charge. I said it simply, without drama. That was my mistake. They didn't argue back. They just stopped engaging. Conversations shortened. My mother stopped asking me things directly. My uncle, who usually filled silence with jokes, avoided sitting near me. No one called me a thief outright after that day. They didn't need to. There's a specific kind of distance that feels worse than confrontation. It's quiet, and it spreads without resistance. I replayed the wedding in my head for 2 days. Not emotionally, mechanically. Who went where? When doors opened? Who had reasons to step inside? It felt pointless at first, like trying to solve something that had already been decided. Then I remembered something small. So small I almost dismissed it. I had been on a video call with a friend earlier that day, showing him the decorations. I walked through different parts of the house while talking. At one point I passed by that room, the one with the envelopes. I hadn't thought about it since. It was just background at the time. I checked my phone. The call had lasted longer than I remembered, and I hadn't ended it immediately when I left the room. I watched it once. Then again, there was no dramatic reveal, no perfect angle, just a slightly tilted view of the room as I set my phone down. People moving in and out, half visible, unaware of being recorded. It didn't prove everything, but it proved enough. I didn't send it to anyone. I didn't confront her privately. By then, I understood something I hadn't before. This wasn't just about money. It was about how quickly people had decided what I was worth. The dinner was already planned. A few days later, I almost didn't go. When I walked in, nothing had changed on the surface. Same greetings, same arrangement. But there was a carefulness in how people spoke around me, like they were managing something fragile. No one mentioned it. That was the expectation, I think, that I would let it settle into silence. Maybe apologize vaguely, just to restore comfort. We sat down. Plates moved. Someone asked about work. Another person talked about traffic. It felt rehearsed. I waited, not for the right moment, just for a pause that felt natural enough not to be mistaken for a scene. It came between two unrelated conversations. I found something, I said. That was enough to shift attention. Not sharply, just enough. My sister didn't look at me immediately. When she did, it was brief. I checked my phone from the wedding day, I continued. There's a recording. No one interrupted. Not because they were interested, but because they didn't know where it was going. I placed the phone on the table and played the clip. At first, it looked like nothing, just movement, background noise. Someone laughed faintly from another room. Then the frame settled slightly. You could see the envelopes on the table. You could see me enter, place my phone down, adjust something, and leave. Then, after a few seconds, someone else entered. Not fully visible at first. Just enough to recognize posture. Then more clearly, it wasn't dramatic. No one rushed. No one hid anything. But it wasn't, the room didn't react immediately. That's what I remember most. There wasn't a collective gasp or confrontation, just a kind of stillness that took a moment to register what it meant. My mother leaned forward slightly, like she needed to see it again. My sister didn't speak. She kept her eyes on the table, not the phone. I stopped the video before it ended. It didn't need to go further. I didn't take anything, I said. Not loudly, not defensively. Just once. There were small reactions then. My uncle cleared his throat. Someone shifted in their chair. My mother said my name, but didn't finish the sentence. No one apologized, not then. My sister finally looked at me, but it wasn't the same look as before. It wasn't certainty. It was something less defined. Not quite regret, not quite disbelief. Just absence of what had been there earlier. And that changed more than anything else. I didn't ask her to explain. I didn't ask anyone to correct what they had assumed. The video had already done what words couldn't. Dinner resumed slowly. Conversations came back, but not fully. There was a hesitation now, like everyone was aware of something sitting between us that couldn't be ignored or easily removed. I stayed for a while, long enough that leaving wouldn't feel like a statement. When I got up, no one stopped me. On the way out, my mother said, "We'll talk." I nodded, but I didn't say when, because the truth was, something had shifted in a way that didn't need discussion. Not immediately, they knew, and now I knew something too, that being right doesn't restore what people are willing to believe about you in your absence. I didn't feel relieved, just clear. And that clarity stayed with me longer than any apology would have.